What's up YouTube, Jay Travelini here, and today I have a video that I've been looking to make for a while now. Now I've had 3080s and 3090s on my rig for quite some time, and they've been pretty much as I bought them. Now today I decided to modify my 3080 with this copper plate mod, which I bought from coolmygpu.com, and I'll put a link in the description below. But I installed this plate, and I'll go through the process. But before installing the plate, I was running my rig, and my 3080 was running 102 degrees Celsius on the memory. Now, the core temperature wasn't bad, so I wasn't too worried about that. And I used MX4 thermal paste for this process. Now, I tore the card down first, as you can see in the photos, and then pretty much cleaned up the card the best that I could before installing this copper plate. And then after removing the thermal pads that would go over top of the memory, I left all the other thermal pads intact, and I didn't touch them. I didn't replace them because I didn't have any other pads, and it didn't seem like it was going to matter too much for this process. Once I cleaned it up, that's when I applied a thermal paste to all the memory chips on the board and the GPU die. Now, I did spread the thermal paste across the memory chips, and that's just so I knew I had an even spread across them. And then once I spread that out, that's when I put the plate on top of it and laid it down on it. And then I put more thermal paste on top of the copper plate. And this is pretty much how it's at. As you can see, spread across the GPU die. And then I didn't spread it across the top of the plate, but underneath the plate, it is spread out. Then I put the card back together and pretty much just got it running back onto the rig. Now, when I installed the X bracket back to it, I didn't tighten it down too crazy. And I also didn't remove the back plate when I tore down the card. I just took the cooler off. But then once we got it mined, I let it run for a little bit. And then after about 15 minutes of mining, I checked on it, and it was running 47C on the core, which is good, but it was also running 68 degrees Celsius on the memory. Now I was thinking, oh, it's only been about 15 minutes. Let's give it a little bit more time to settle in. So I checked it again after about 30 minutes, and same results, 47 degrees Celsius on the core and 68 degrees Celsius on the memory. Now, I kept the same overclocks, but I also did notice slightly more mega hash. Not too much. We're talking about, I think, 0.4 or 0.5 more mega hash a second. And it cut my wattage down by only 2 watts. So not huge gains there. But my memory temperature is way lower. Now, when I first looked into cooling solution, I almost ordered pads from the pre-cut, like the critical ones. But then I decided to go with this. Now, it is a little bit more expensive. This plate fits the 3080 and 3090 for the win, and it runs about $56 or $57. And then on the 3090s, there's also a back plate to go on it because they do, to my knowledge, have memory on the back plate. So there's another one that's cut for that. Now I do plan on getting those and testing it on my 3090 before I buy 3 sets, because on a 3080 you're looking about $57, which I think this is definitely worth it. You're spending about $57 on the GPU and about $8 on a tube of thermal paste with a spatula. So for roughly $64 to $64 shipped to your door, give the copper plate plus the paste to do it. You just need a screwdriver, which you would have to use anyway if you're using thermal pads. Now, you can get a set of thermal pads for about $32, I believe, for a 3080, and some will come with ones that go across the back plate. But with the results that I've seen with this copper plate, I think this is definitely the better option in my opinion. Others may differ and say that pads are the way to go for longevity, but with the copper plate, I see after, you know, about a year of use, I'd probably have to tear the card back down and repaste it, just like you would have to do with a GPU die anyway. So you're taking the card apart no matter what to either replace it on the die. Now, pads will probably last you much longer. They won't break down quite as quick, I don't think. But I still think this is the way to go. Thermal paste is fairly cheap. And like I said, I used MX4 and not MX5. The company that I bought this from used MX5 on theirs. But during my research, I noticed that a lot of people, with the difference between MX4 and MX5, was about a 1 degree Celsius difference, but the price difference was much more significant. But I'm not mad that I didn't go with MX5 because of the results that I got. Like I said, I'm running 68 degrees Celsius on the memory. Now, later on, I might try and push the card a little bit harder because my memory temps are now in check. But that was a big difference going from 102 degrees Celsius to 68 degrees Celsius, about what, 34 to 36 degrees Celsius change. Now, the ambient temperature in my basement since I did it today has been 82 degrees Fahrenheit the entire time. So ambient temperature didn't really play a role in it, and my 3090 still climbed back up to 102 to 104 degrees Celsius on the memory. So ambient temperature definitely didn't play a role. So it was a pretty good test result in my opinion. But I just like to share my results with you guys. Is anyone else using these copper plates? If not, you know, do you think it's a good idea, or are you just using pads? And also, if you are using pads, what were your results with that? I'd like to hear, because I think I'm only going to go with copper plates on all of my GPUs that I'm going to modify and not do pads. But you know, thanks for checking this video out. Hopefully this helps sell some people on these copper plates, because I am sold after just one test. Now I will test the 3090 and see if that's just as good. But like I said, I will be doing the front and back plates on that one. The 3080 they don't make a back plate for because it doesn't need it. But thanks for checking this video out. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for more.